Hi friends and welcome here. I'm so excited to just get back into meal prepping, and that's what this video today is about. We are going to just get some meal prep done. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It has been just crazy lately, kind of getting back into the swing of things. We went to LA about a week or two ago. No, 2 weeks ago. And yeah, we didn't obviously meal prep, and then the week before that, leading up to that, we were just eating everything that was in our fridge and in our pantry and going through that, so I didn't meal prep. And then last week I still wasn't like in the swing of things, so yeah, I didn't get to meal prep either. So finally today is the day we're meal prepping, and honestly it really did show me just the difference that meal prepping does. Because when you don't have things prepped, it is really difficult to just be consistent and to just get all your fruits, your veggies, and all of your good plant foods in if you're not intentional and you don't plan for it. So definitely meal prepping is a game changer for me, has been a game changer for me. And yeah, so here I am to just share with you what I'm meal prepping this week, and I hope you enjoy the video. Please let me know down in the comments if you enjoy these types of videos or any other kinds of videos that you would like me to share with you. And with that said, let's get started with our weekly meal prep. So as you guys probably know, one of my favorite things to do as I meal prep is sip on a coffee, a matcha, or my daily greens. And today I am going to start off by prepping myself a nice iced matcha. And for this I'm using the Sun Warrior matcha. I really do like this matcha powder. It is not bitter or anything, and it makes a very delicious iced matcha. So I'm using 2 teaspoons of this matcha powder. I'm adding some milk and just gonna shake it up in my shaker cup. And one of the neat things about this matcha powder is that it doesn't get clumpy, even if you don't whisk it with one of those frothers. It doesn't get clumpy at all, so I really like that. And I'm just gonna add some ice and some more oat milk. And I forgot to add this earlier, but I'm adding in a little bit of maple syrup. I add anywhere from like half a tablespoon of maple syrup to like a tablespoon, depending on how sweet I want it that day, but it's so yummy. And now let's get to prepping our meal. Isn't this so cute? My grandma from Mexico actually made this and sent it over, so I really like it. It's so cute and pretty. And as my beans for the week, which is the first thing that we prep because it's one of the things that takes the longest to cook, we are going to get started with some lima beans. And I've had these for a while, and I've never made lima beans, so I didn't really know how to make them or what to do with them, but I had an idea for a meal that I wanted to make, and so I thought I just used up the lima beans that I have, and I'm just making a small batch just because I want to make sure that I like them. And yeah, just since I'm trying it out for the first time, so I'm just going to be giving my lima beans a nice rinse. And I'm actually not going to be seasoning them with anything in the Instant Pot. I'm just going to add some water and pressure cook them that way. And the reason being is that because I kind of want to change up the spices for these for different meals that I make throughout the week. And spoiler alert, they actually ended up tasting so good. And that is it for my lima beans. I'm just going to pressure cook them for 40 minutes. If you want firmer beans, then I definitely do suggest to do maybe 30-35 minutes. But for me, I really like them pressure cooked for 40 minutes. Now for my breakfast this week, I am actually prepping some overnight oats, and for this, just very simple as usual, I'm just adding in some rolled oats in here, and I'm also going to be adding in some chia seeds and some soy milk and some cinnamon. And I'm keeping it very simple because I want to be able to change up my toppings and the different flavors that I add to this throughout the week. And my daughter really enjoys this as well, so definitely it's something I can make a big batch of and then have some for me and my daughter throughout the week. To the potatoes. We are going to make some Instant Pot potatoes. I'm gonna use the bake feature for these, and I am using a mix of them. We went to Trader Joe's and to Whole Foods, and we finally found the purple sweet potato, and it is so yummy. I would say that it is sweeter, and once it's like cooled down, it's just so delicious. So definitely recommend you try it if you see it, if you find it at one of your local stores. But I'm making that with the white potato and the regular orange sweet potato. And I'm going to pierce them with a fork, and I found that if I pierce it with a fork, some of that like sugar that's inside, I don't know if that's what it is, but something oozes out, and it's so yummy. And look at how beautiful the purple sweet potatoes are. They're seriously so good. And I'm just going to add it into my air fryer basket. I love this thing. It makes cleanup so much easier because once I'm done with it, I can throw it into my dishwasher. It gets clean and I'm ready to use it again. And my Instant Pot is so clean inside, nothing gets stuck. So definitely recommend these. I'll link them down below if you're interested in purchasing them. And I'm adding them in the Instant Pot on 365 for about 45 minutes. You definitely can do higher if you want, but I don't want to risk burning them on the outside. So I was thinking for one of my meals, I'm actually going to be having this Spanish rice from the company Right Rice. It's made from vegetables and chickpea flour and lentil flour, and it is so delicious. I've made this time and time again before, and it's been a minute since I've made them. So yeah, I love how it's high in protein and fiber, and it's just so yummy, and it really does remind me of the Spanish rice my mom used to make. So something that I'm not prepping at this moment, but I will be prepping throughout the week, is going to be this squash and this butternut squash as well. I don't know exactly how I'm going to season it yet, but maybe some cinnamon or some other just savory spices. But for now, let's move on to prepping the tofu and the tempeh. I have this pretty regularly because it's so yummy, and you know, I really enjoy it. Add some higher protein to meals, and it's just so good, depending on how you season it, of course. And usually I bake my tempeh and my tofu in the oven, but I'm actually not gonna do that today. I decided that because I want it a little bit more crispy for my meals this time, I'm going to add them to some mason jars. And this is another option for those of you that don't like tempeh and tofu that has been sitting in the fridge overnight. I know the texture can definitely change. It's not as crispy. I think it's just as good, but some people don't. And if you're one of those people, then you could definitely do this, and you get fresh tofu, fresh tempeh. You just have to throw it into a pan or your air fryer, and it'll be done in a couple of minutes, and it's even more fresh. So that's an option for you if that's something that you prefer more. For the very first batch of tofu, I'm going to be adding in some turmeric powder, some curry powder, some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some nutritional yeast. And I'm also going to be adding in some olive oil to this one, and my daughter loves this one, so we're making her a batch of this. I sometimes make it into a scramble, but this time I just chose to do it in little cubes. Now for the first jar, I'm going to start off with some onion powder, some chili powder, some nutritional yeast, some paprika, some Ancho chili powder, and I'm gonna shake that up, and that's our first batch. And for the second one, we are going to be doing some soy sauce, some sriracha, garlic powder, some nutritional yeast, and that is it for jar number 2. Jar number 3, some onion powder, garlic powder, some cumin, some Ancho chili powder, and that is it, keeping it simple for this one. going to be doing some cumin, some chili powder, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some Ancho chili powder, some nutritional yeast, and a tiny bit of soy sauce. And shake it up, and that is it for the tempeh. Now that is it for my tofu. I'm going to be air frying these on either 350 or 400 degrees, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. It all depends on how fast they cook because they are smaller, but definitely, you know, air fry for as long as you want. And my sweet potatoes came out so perfect and so yummy, and that purple sweet potato, let me tell you, it's so good. And this is what I mean by like the sugar just oozing out of the potato, and you definitely need to try it. It's so beautiful and purple, and it makes such a delicious dessert. So definitely go try it out. Big stuff is actually fully prepped. We're just waiting on the lima beans. I'm pretty sure that's what the beans are. And the sweet potatoes, those are coming out of the Instant Pot pretty soon. We got the tofu, the tempeh, the overnight oats, and I wanted to show you just a bit of the other things that I'm gonna kind of pair alongside for breakfast and all like fruits and stuff that we're gonna be having throughout the week. But I'm gonna be having some yogurts. These are my favorites, the Silk dairy-free yogurts, as well as these So Delicious coconut yogurts, and these have zero added sugar. It's just sweetened with like fruit and stuff. And I give this to my daughter. She really loves it and I really like it. It's like sweet, even though, yeah, it has no added sugar apart from like the fruit. But yeah, I like these too. But if I had to choose, I would say this was my favorite, except for like the Silk Greek style yogurt. That one's my most favorite. But this is another thing that we have for breakfast with like little mini oat pancakes that I make my daughter. She really likes them. We made them today, and I'll insert a picture here, that way you can see how they look like. But sometimes that's kind of an easy meal that we kind of have in the mornings. Snacks, we have some grapes. Victor, my husband, loves grapes. Right, babe? Mm-hmm. Yep. We have some raspberries, some blackberries too. My daughter loves all kinds of berries, so we always have a lot in our fridge, so I have them too alongside her. And yeah, got some strawberries as well that I topped off like yogurt or my oats. And for this week, for my overnight oats, I was actually thinking of making some matcha oats. I don't know how that's gonna taste, but I love matcha, so I'm thinking that maybe like matcha oatmeal would be good. So if you've seen one of my previous meal prep videos, and you've probably seen my reasoning for doing my overnight oats the way I do. I don't want to add any added sweetener. One, because I also give some to my daughter and I don't want to over sweeten it, but then also because that allows me to change up the flavor. So if one day I want to add some cocoa powder, I can do that. The next day I can just switch it up, and like what I'm going to be doing is adding some matcha powder, and that just makes it just easier to kind of switch up than having like one giant batch already prepped with just one flavor and I have to eat that every single day. So that's just my way of switching it up. But I really do enjoy this matcha powder from Sun Warrior. It's definitely, you get a lot for what you pay for. I forgot how much this was, but definitely a lot cheaper than a lot of matcha that you'll see. Now it's not just ceremonial grade. It is, I believe, a combination of both kinds, yeah, of the ceremonial and the premium. But honestly, it tastes delicious. It reminds me of like matcha, like a matcha drink that I'd get at a coffee shop. And it's actually, it doesn't have any sweetener, but it actually is nice and sweet. It's not bitter, so I really like it. But if you'd like, you can also add some maple syrup to it if you'd like to sweeten it up. But it's really delicious and I've really enjoyed it. And we also have some kiwis. We love kiwis. We got some lettuce that I'm going to be using on like the side of different bowls. And if I don't get enough greens, which I admittedly don't always get enough greens, then we always have this. And you know, if you know me already, you've probably seen here on YouTube, if you've been here before, that I really enjoy the Compliment Daily Greens. They're not like, they don't taste like grass like I think most greens powders, at least that's what I hear people saying, that you know, they take their daily greens for, you know, because it's good for them, but they don't enjoy the taste. But I thoroughly enjoy this one, and they've kindly given me a discount. It gives you 15% off of any purchase, and yeah, if you use my code, it's Joy with Plants, so if you use that, you get 15% off. And yeah, honestly, I highly recommend it if you have been looking for a daily greens powder and you know you just want to make sure that you're getting your greens that you need. Then I definitely recommend this one. We have gone through so many. We get the 3-pack and it just comes out cheaper. Yeah, so this is what I use as well. I drink that every single day. When we were in LA about 2 weeks ago now, this was the first thing I had when we got back. We got back, I think, at around 8 o'clock at night, and this was like the thing I really wanted, and it's the first thing I drank, and it just felt so refreshing. So it's definitely one of my personal favorite things to have every single day, alongside obviously their supplement. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, I'm also going to be having this squash. I love squash. It's so good, especially with like cinnamon or like maple syrup. I also did get an acorn squash that I'm going to throw in the Instant Pot, but definitely for later. If you would like to see how I made that and how I make it, then I'll link a video down below. I've done it before in a previous meal prep, and it came out so delicious and yummy, so definitely check that out. But I'm going to be doing these, and I'm not exactly sure yet how I'm going to do these. I was thinking of making either like a pasta sauce, and if so, I'll use like if I do decide to make a pasta sauce out of the butternut squash with some soy milk and, you know, some spices, and then I'm going to be using this Bonza pasta. And I do it this way because my daughter can have this too, and she loves this pasta. She loves pasta, so definitely this one has been our current not favorite, but just the one that we have, so we use that. And for this one, I've actually never had this one, so I'm not exactly sure how to make it. So I'm gonna go on Pinterest and see some ideas and how I could make it. But it looks really good, maybe with some spices, maybe more of a savory kind for this one. And lastly, as another snack, I got 2 of these at Trader Joe's, so I'm just gonna be using this chile lime seasoning that I got there, and one of you recommended it and it's so good, so I'm gonna be having this as like just another snack. And I shared this in the video, but I'm also going to be using some of this white rice. This is my personal favorite. Well, actually, all of them are my favorite. They're all so good. But this one is one that I really enjoy. So I was thinking of adding this with some tofu and some veggies. And I don't know, it just sounded really good. So this is one of the things I like it because it's really high in protein. And it's just really yummy. And it actually tastes like, you know, Spanish rice, which I really like. They did a good job with the seasonings. But this, and then we also have some brown rice always ready in the fridge. We always have some white rice because we're always, you know, cooking that up several times a week. So I didn't need to cook it today because we still have some. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to be having this week for my meals, and wait up for the next video where I share you just the different things that I'm going to be eating this week, and yeah, give you some inspiration on meals that you can make too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video very, very soon. Bye! I can't believe it. I love my mason jars, so I get sad whenever they break. Thankfully they're cheap, so Victor's gonna buy me a new pack, right? He said no. Oh, that's so sad.